Welcome to the Deskbound Therapy Podcast, hosted by David London. David is a posture and mobility expert, yoga teacher, and certified online trainer. This podcast is about empowering desk-bound professionals, how to live their healthiest life, and move pain-free. Now, let's dive into this episode.
It's not a mystery, man. They literally just work their tails off and they put in the work when nobody else wanted to. So sometimes the difference between you being successful and not being successful is just doing the things that you don't want to do.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the Deskbound Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, David London, and in this show, I'm going to teach you how to improve your health, fitness, posture, and mobility. I'm so excited for our guest today. He's actually the second guest to come back on the podcast. He was on last year. My boy, TFT Fitness, representing straight out of Toronto. So stoked to have him here. He's a motivational speaker. And, the episode last year was probably one of our, top episodes all time. We talked about, how to stay motivated, how to, set goals. And, it's about December 2021 now. I almost said 22. And we're going to talk about some tips that are going to help you set goals for the new year. But some tips that, aren't the everyday tips of just stay consistent, but we really dive deep. So really excited to have you back, man.
Hey man, appreciate you having me. It's an honor and I feel blessed to be on the show again, man.
Yeah, how's your training been the last year or so and everything?
Yeah, things have been good. I've been really firing up the Olympic lifts again, which I'm happy about. I've been just trying to focus on technique. My programming has been solid and just I'm really excited and I'm amped to be on this show, man. I had such a blast last time, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. So tell us, what are some of the biggest, mistakes people make this time of year? Because I noticed we were just talking about, people want to wait to start achieving their goals. And then you'll even get, I'm sure, a lot of people who are avid gym goers who are just noticing themselves, falling victim to their schedule this time of year, not really being able to get their workouts in.
For sure. I think the biggest error people make is lack of consistency combined with when the holidays come around, they're eating like crazy, drinking everything like this and like that. And then, it comes around to January. And I think people try to bite off more than they can chew right away. So I think that's a major error is they just want so much right away that they're not focusing on just being consistent over time. So when you try to make all these drastic changes, like diet change, program change, like all these things, buy a new gym membership, and then, halfway through January, you end up making relapse and fall back into your old patterns just because you're trying to bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's a good point because a lot of times, people will go all or nothing, and then in the new year be like, I'll set these goals, like I'm gonna do mobility an hour a day, or I'm gonna go to the gym 6 days a week. When in reality, if you consider how much distance is between where you were and where you're trying to get to, there's so much that has to go on, and that's when I feel like it can be, intimidating and easy to fall off.
Absolutely. And, I think it just comes down to structuring your program in the right way. So a lot of people will just try to, they'll hop on the latest fad or do something that, maybe that's not quite right for them. And they kind of fall off track because they don't have the right program that's, meant for them. So say you're trying to work out 6 days a week right away when maybe it's okay, instead of just working out once a week, maybe I just need to do twice a week or 3 times a week and have the proper programming to allow me to, progress over time instead of trying to just jump into this 6, 7 days a week right away.
So what are some of the ways you advocate that for your clients, whether they be new clients or current clients, in terms of modifying this time of year or going to the new year? Do you tend to just chat with them about starting off slower, or does it I'm curious to see how you help your clients stay on track?
I think for this particular time, I think it's more stop focusing on what you can and can't do and just focus on the little, nuts and bolts of the programming that you can be consistent with that will help you stay in shape through this period. So, you're going to have this holiday party. So, maybe leading up to it, you have some good meals in the morning and the afternoon. So at nighttime, you just go enjoy yourself and you don't have to feel guilt about it. You don't want to fall into the trap of I had one bad meal and then now, I gotta eat all these bad meals, or you're ordering food all the time. It's try to stay prepared. I think is the main point that I'm trying to get across. So, if you're able to cook a couple meals on Sunday so you have some throughout the week so that when you're going to all these parties and stuff afterwards, it's a lot easier to eat well and be consistent. And then another big part of it is just get what you can. Say you have a 30-minute window. If you don't have time to go to the gym, maybe it's just, a little superset at home or even just a little mobility, which is always better than nothing.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you were doing a lot of, mobility online last year with the like when COVID first started. You had I think it was a live
Yeah.
class every day. That was pretty dope.
Every day, man. We did it every day. I think we hit almost a full year of literally everyday lives of workouts and mobility sessions.
No, it's good. It's good, and I think it was helpful for people around that time. And I think it's like the way is too is like you could follow along and do something, and that's like it's a good duration of time for people to spend is that 30 minutes. Like especially right now, you don't like everyone always thinks you need the full hour to work out. Where I literally just
Yeah,
went down to the gym before this episode. I did I think 9 exercises, so 9 sets
yeah,
total, and I came
yeah.
back up, made some lunch. So like sometimes you just gotta get it in into like different chunks throughout the day. I find like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
That's it. And if you don't have the time, like today, I had a bunch of sessions, and then I was super excited about the podcast. I had about maybe 50 minutes, and I just did a couple sets of cleans, and I knew that that was better than getting nothing and just going home right away. So I had to sneak in lunch right before the podcast, but we got it done.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I feel like sometimes too, like if you go into in the mindset of like sometimes I fall victim to this of just going too hard all the time or having trouble kind of backing off or modifying. I feel like it's definitely a skill on its own, even for us coaches. Like you always want to be PRing like every single workout, which makes it like
Yeah.
which isn't always the right mindset going in, like because
No.
the goal is always to get stronger in your exercises. But I think like not just me, but I think everyone in general tends to focus on just like the smaller picture in regards to that.
No, for sure. And a lot of times, like we talked about before, just biting off more than you can chew. You have a sets at 60, 70%, and then all of a sudden, okay, I feel good today. I'm gonna go heavy. Like, it doesn't always have to be like that every single day. Where I feel like you say, a lot of people feel the need to try to max out every single day, as opposed to just following a program that's gonna progressively, progressive overload and just focusing on maybe a little bit more volume or maybe adding a little bit more weight in ways that you can do it without you getting stronger and in those movements without throwing the max weight on the bar every time, just week to week. It's that consistency, man. I think it's just a big flaw in a lot of people's workout games.
Yeah, because I feel like a good strategy would be to actually, this is something I used to do a few years back. Like, this is when I was training clients in person. I really wanted to start off the year consistent. So,
Yeah,
whether days I wasn't training clients or I wasn't working out, I made it a point to go to the gym every single day and just go through my full body warm up routine. And then,
right.
based on that, if I felt like that's all I could do on that day, that's all I could do. Or some days I would do a bit of cardio, and some days I would work out, but I would go in with the intentions of I'm just gonna warm up and kind of see what I feel like doing. So that way you're allowing yourself to just do a little bit. Anything extra is like a huge win, and you're setting yourself up for success. And I think it got to the point where like my goal was I just want to show up to the gym every single day and just train my body and train my mind, and that was huge for me. And it's something I still do like to this day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you also have to, it's a lot easier said than done, but finding the right people to be around, whether it's a coach or, maybe a workout buddy that can help inspire you on those days that you just, don't feel like getting it done. And, I think that when you're around those environments, it can really push you to be the best version of yourself when you're around other people that want the same for themselves.
Yeah, like the people you surround yourself with is huge, and I feel like it's been difficult. Like gyms are now opened up, but like there's social distancing the gyms, and like it just does like they're nice and busy. It just doesn't feel the same though. People are like trying to keep in their friend groups and whatnot, which makes it be difficult. But it's good, there's so much on social media and so many other ways people can stay accountable. Like I
Yeah.
find like if you're just starting to, want to, make a change in your life, even if it's you find an online friend or something like without that, you kind of feel like alone, like versus making
Yeah.
fitness feel like a team of sport.
It's huge, man. And honestly, sometimes you just have to reach out to people. Like Instagram is probably one of the most amazing social media platforms, and now TikTok, all these ones coming out. You can literally reach out to somebody, and I guarantee you, in the fitness industry, for the most part, like I'm sure you can attest to this. People will reach out, be like, "Hey, how could I, do this better? Or what's something I could do if I need to work on, a shoulder injury or whatever?" And then, people are going to answer you, and for the most part people want to help, and it's not like they're giving their life away. They're just helping. One little piece of knowledge might be enough to get you out of your seat and go do some mobility, or go focus up and get a workout routine solidified for yourself.
Yeah, I'm wondering why it's such a powerful thing. It's interesting, like how we surround ourselves with. I wonder why it has such a big effect. Because we know, like, it's motivating. Like for me and my boys, and like you in particular, it's all about that gym camaraderie for me. Like, getting pumped up, seeing the boys.
But it's a big thing, man. And like even like because of COVID, it really stole that element away, I think, from the gym. All the collaborations, getting together with people, like working around others, and like you say, in the gym is kind of just not the same environment that it was. But recently, with restrictions falling back a bit, and I mean now they're picking up again. But there was a short window there where like I'd go, go see Carlito, or go see Mike, or go see Shea Pierre, or I had Klokov do a seminar recently, our first seminar of 2021. And being around these people really gave me that fire back to that I can add now, not only to my workouts, but to help with you know people that I work with as well, like my clients and stuff, because I'm just so fired up when I'm around these people that are just like full of energy. And it has a big impact, man, and even for our mental health. And like you can get lost in the scrolling of social media sometimes, so I think that's why it's important to filter out what you're taking in, and then go from there.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that's good you got to connect with those people. Like, what were some of those
Yeah,
experiences like? I'm sure, like, it's been such a long time. Like, the workshop was just last week. It must have been good. Because I know right before
yeah,
that, I remember there was, I know Dr. Harden was there for a workshop a while ago, and so he
yeah,
was there. But I think those were like before COVID.
yeah. Those were before COVID, and Squat University as well. Like there was like a peak of just seminars that we had, and just adding value, people learning, coming across, getting together, and connecting and networking, and it was amazing. And those are some of the things we miss because of the pandemic. But just because you can't see a person face to face doesn't mean you can't shoot a person a message and connect and collaborate that way. And not everyone is a fitness influencer, but just for the people that are looking to gain knowledge in certain aspects, if you see someone online that has a specialty, I would say shoot your shot. Don't be afraid to send out a message. You'd be surprised how many replies you get.
Do you think it's beneficial for people to say career, even if they're not like a fitness professional, just like they're just kind of starting, or they're just kind of, the average gym goer, to like maybe start a personal fitness account just to keep themselves accountable? Like, or are there any other ways that they can keep themselves accountable?
Yeah, I think that might be like a little bit of a double-edged sword, just because you could start the account, but you might feel, you might put yourself down if you don't have a certain amount of
Right.
followers or a certain amount of likes. So you could really get into that mindset. If you feel that that could genuinely motivate you to stay consistent, then I think it's a fantastic idea, and you might be surprised with what you could achieve. Like everyone is capable of more than they think. I truly believe that we're all, have amazing and unlimited and untapped potential within us. We just have to bring it out of ourselves, because we're the only people that can bring that change. But I think, you know, if that's not the route for you, then maybe it's just something as simple as having a program, or reaching out to a coach, or some sort of group or gym or program that can hold you accountable. And then that way you just bang those things out as you go, as opposed to maybe just walk into the gym because I'm going to do this day, to do that day. It's the accountability factor. So like you said, if it's an Instagram account that's going to keep you accountable, I'm all for that. I think that's an amazing idea. But for some people, they might not like that pressure, and it might be another route of accountability that they have to go down.
Yeah, and I really like what you said about it has to come from you. Like that's a really interesting thing because in terms of like making sure your goals are tangible enough, or you're really connecting with your goals and you have the full clarity. I think it all comes back to that. It's like,
Yeah,
how bad do you want it? What do you really want to achieve, like deep down? I feel like these are all things that these questions people have to consider in terms of what they want, because then if you don't really consider deep down what the goals are, then it's really going to be hard to realize it's achievable. And there's one quote, I don't know what's from, that I listen to motivational speeches when I work out. And
yeah,
I believe it was like, if you can see it in your mind, you can feel it in your hand. As in like,
yeah.
if you can see your goals in your mind, then it's an arm's reach away. That's like one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah, that's a great one, and I think just you're hitting the nail on the head just in terms of if you don't have a goal, then how could you possibly get to the end destination? Like if you're scrolling through Instagram and you see some, maybe some girls in bikinis or guys with their shirts off and you're like, "Oh, I want to go work out." Maybe that's just something that inside of you is just a temporary motivation. Maybe you have to look deep within yourself and be honest with yourself. What do I really want in terms of my fitness goals? Do I want to be able to move around and be healthy and play with my kids? Do I want to be able to pick stuff up and put it down? Or do you want to be at elite level where you can maybe go play in a recreational hockey league or soccer league, and you want to be in shape for that? Like, I think if you really just if you don't write down the goals that you want and you're not completely honest with yourself, then it's really hard. If you can be real with yourself and be like, you know what, I want to make a lifestyle change. I want to be healthy for my personal health. Okay, now I'm being real with myself. So now I can take the steps to get there. Okay, I want to be a bit more healthy. What can I do? Well, with my time slots and with work and with kids, okay, maybe I could do 2 workouts a week. That's great. Maybe over time it turns into three. Maybe over time, when it's a more of a priority, it turns to four. Like, and when you have a goal that you can be consistent at with smaller, little consistent goals, then you're definitely going to be a lot closer to achieving your ultimate goal. And like what you said, like if you don't have a goal, then how can you get there? But it's like also, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And the first step should be making the goal. So you know where you want to go, because you can't get to the journey of 1,000 miles without knowing where you're going.
So diving a bit deeper into goal setting, like how specific should people be? Should they be like, in 90 days I want to get here, or should it be like, in 90 days I want to add 20 pounds to all my lifts, or I want to show up this many days a week, do this many workouts? Like how what is like a structure people can use in terms of, like, obviously more than just like I want to look this way, but like how do you go about that with the athletes you work with?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, goal setting with an elite athlete is going to be a lot different than just a general pop person who just
Right.
wants to get into better shape. So for the general pop, I would say your goal should be less focused on, 60, 90 days, and it should be focused more on long term, because when you're able to be consistent over time, long term, you're going to have amazing results, right? And just slowly but surely, steadily working with, competitive athletes. There might be a tournament or, a big game or something that they're working towards, or a championship or some sort of like top level where their goal setting might be a little bit different, because their programming is in accordance to an end date and a specific date, where their programming is like, okay, I need to do this and this time. I need to, have my energy system development. I need to have, all my weightlifting and loads and stuff like that set out so that I can progressively overload and then peak at this time. So it's just a little bit different in terms of what you intend to do and for who it's for. But I think, like, just to answer your question, for my athletes specifically, it's like, okay, if we're in season, what is the goal? The goal is not to increase our strength and speed by 1 million in season. It's more to maintain what we've worked for all off season, so that you can be healthy and you can be functional throughout the duration of your season. And then, and then in the off season, you work out according to those goals that you want to be for the next season. So I think that's how it differentiates. And I think that's where a lot of people might get, lose themselves in the madness of everything going on, especially with, Gen Pop. It's like, it sounds so cliche, but it's just the consistent actions over time, the small deposits, You know, one workout isn't going to make you jacked, and one bad meal isn't going to make you obese. It's just about, finding the ways to be consistent and continue and continue and continue. And then, next thing you know, you're at your end goal, right?
Yeah, one coach I worked with a few years ago, he told me the analogy of like, you're the people who are in the best shape have really been racking on, the weeks of consistent weeks, year after year after year.
Yeah.
Like when you look at, say, for example, if someone were to find you and follow you, and they'd be like, yo, they don't realize how many years of work you put in to get where you are. Like I'm sure like over a
Man,
decade of training, and people have to realize that like it's like this is a lifestyle for a reason. It takes a real long time, which is why we're asking these difficult questions of what are your goals, and how bad do you want it, and like what does it look like for you, because you have to really make it something that is going to be sustainable and long term motivational for you.
yeah. And I honestly think it's tough for people to be real with themselves and just say, hey, this is what I need to change it, or this is what I need to change, and I'm the only person that can change it. I could have someone show me the best program, the best meal plan, but if I can't follow it, then it's useless. It's absolute garbage, right? So the main thing you need to do is be real with yourself, identify your true goals, the nature of what you want, and go from there. Because if you can't be real with yourself, then no one else is gonna to feed the fire around you, because they're just gonna see right through that, right? I think that if you want to reach a specific goal, like you said, the amount of hours you need to invest, it's a lot more than people think, and not a lot of people are willing to do that, and that's fine. But you just have to be real with yourself in terms of what do I want and what am I willing to do.
Yeah, it's interesting because it makes me think about like when people aren't adherent to their program or they fall on and off, if that's more so specifically just that it's not really a priority for them, or it's more so specifically that it's a priority, but they're letting all these other factors, influence them. Because there's a lot of things like your adherence can change, depending on the year, as long as you maintain an overall consistency. But you can't like do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Like you have to, find the
Right.
right amount of adherence that really works with your lifestyle.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I've been working with David for about 1.5 years through his online training program. I first came to David when I wanted to improve my fitness for curling. He's really helped me through that by personalizing a program that really focused on what I needed for my sport. Along the way, he's been so helpful, checking in with me every week to make sure that the program was working for me, providing a good mindset for every week, and also helping me with good eating habits. He's also provided me some of the routines that I can do at work to improve my mobility, which really saves me a lot of time. And I'm seeing the results in my game. I'm stronger, and I can compete through a long weekend tournament without feeling tired. So if those things sound good to you, you should give Deskbound Therapy a shot.
Yeah, and I think another thing is people are just really hard on themselves. Man, like life happens to all of us. There's no one on Instagram or anyone that you admire or look up to as a fitness influencer that isn't going through stuff or doesn't have days where they don't feel like working out or don't feel like doing this. It's just what they are is they're committed to what they said they would do long after when they said it. It's like that New Year's analogy, like, oh, I'm gonna do this and this, and then 3 weeks later it's like you kind of just fall off track. It's like the people that really want it, they define that through their actions. You're gonna fall off track. Everybody does. That's guaranteed. But the good thing about falling off track is you can always get back on track. You just have to be mentally strong enough to say, hey, I had a bad week. Maybe I ate out a couple of too many Uber Eats or whatever. Not even that that's a bad thing. There's plenty of ways to get adequate nutrients through eating out, but it's just, you know, the consistency over time. How can I prioritize that? How can I optimize that? Well, I gotta when I fall down, maybe I'll be down there, but I'm always gonna get back up. And that's what the people that you see doing it at the most elite level, they're just getting up faster, and they're just staying down longer, or they're not staying down as long. Whereas the average person might, if they fall down, maybe they take 2 months off the gym or 3 months off. The less you stay down, the more you're on your way to progress. And that's just the toughest part. It's a mental battle, man. We all go through stuff. Life is going to hit you like a ton of bricks, man. I've been through stuff that, the common people, maybe it would upset them, maybe it wouldn't, but everyone has their burdens to carry, and we all got to keep moving forward, because that's kind of just what life does.
Yeah, it's funny because, without the gym, it'd be hard to deal with all the shit that life just throws at you, to be honest.
Heck yeah, man. Like, honestly, when I have a bad day, the gym is my best friend. Like, it's the one place I can go, the one place I know where I can be myself, and nothing can change that. And it's just kind of, and we all know the benefits of exercise. It improves your mood, and the endorphins that get released and all that amazing stuff. But it really is true, and the only way to find out is to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you really have to fall in love with it in order to really see it out, whether you want to improve your posture, your fitness, your mobility, like, or just, your health and well-being overall. You really have to fall in love with the process. Like, just like we're talking about, like the gym is like even exercise, like beyond that, is just like such a mood booster and mood enhancer. So even if you're not looking to get the most jacked, and even if you're just looking to, move a bit better and feel a bit better in your body, like you have to fall in love with the process. Like I am the stretchy flexible guy because I fucking love stretching. It feels good. Like I'll stand here right now on the podcast and I'll stretch my wrist. Like, man, I
Do
just
a couple of
I just I just love that stretch sensation. You have to find that sensation, or that thing that kind of gets you going.
I think that's a great point, because it's another thing, and this is literally a life hack. Is just, people are like, okay, I gotta go ride the bike, or I gotta hop on the rower. Well, what if you don't like rowing? What if you don't like hopping on the bike? Find something that you can be consistent at, that you actually enjoy. So like, if you're first starting your fitness journey, the first thing is like, what are you passionate about? Maybe you like going for walks and just enjoying nature. Add one of those a week and watch what happens. 2 times a week, watch what happens. You like playing basketball, go play a little bit more basketball. Try to incorporate it more into your daily routine, and just those little things will go like swimming, anything like simple. Just, I mean, everyone has a favorite activity. I don't care who you are. There's things that you prefer as opposed to other things. So stop trying to force the things that you don't like, and maybe start chasing the things that you do. You know, that's bound to keep you coming back, because you're gonna enjoy it, and it won't be like feel like such a chore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because I find like the beginning, as you're getting started as a beginner, you have a lot
Yeah,
of like, you want to really try everything, and then you find what you like, you do that for a little bit. But I find that long-term consistency is hard. Like for me personally, like I think I started working on 2011, so we're at 10 years now. And
yeah,
I'm like I had like a midlife crisis. I'm like, what do I really want to do? Like I was training for sports the last year, and then before that, I was training like calisthenics for 5 years with a bit of powerlifting. And I'm like,
yeah,
what do I really enjoy? What do I really like the most? It's actually tough because it's okay to do a bit of everything, but then you're just not really gonna specialize in one thing. I felt, and I realized that I've
yeah,
never really allowed myself to specialize in one thing. Like I did, gymnastics and powerlifting at the same time, and then I did sports, while I was still try to do gymnastics. So it's
yeah,
interesting. Like then I realized, maybe I have to really just try a bunch of things over again and really see what I like. So now I'm like, all right, I like doing, weights, but I also like doing, calisthenics. So I've decided, I'm gonna do a day where I do a ring workout. I'm gonna do a day where I do, rings plus some heavy lifting,
yeah,
and then, and I'm trying to find the balance that I like, because I realize, I can enjoy a lot of things, but if I really want to, if your goal is to get, be a power lifter, or to be, an athlete, you're gonna have to train differently. But I think it's good to reflect every so often, like every 6 months, be like, how do I feel with my training and my goals? Like, is there anything I want to switch up? Because
yeah,
I find like whenever I don't do like gymnastic style, bodyweight style exercises, mobility based stuff, then I'm like, oh man, like I could be making crazy progress with that stuff. And that's how I know like that my heart's in it. And I think you have to find really what your heart is. And if you listen hard enough, you'll know if you're not doing what's right for you.
Yeah, man. And I think you made a good point of just, dude, try new things. I think a lot of people are intimidated by maybe going to try a new sport or even going to like a calisthenics gym because they feel like, oh, I'm going to suck at it. Well, it's like, yeah, when you do something the first time, you're probably not going to be good at it. But if you never tried it, then you never know. How many, what if, you know, Peyton Manning never picked up a football? What if, all these elite people just never tried the sport that they actually do? It's like, try new things. And like you say, you will kind of be drawn towards the thing that you enjoy the most. And I mean, don't be afraid to suck. Don't be afraid to suck, everybody. I got to take that advice myself sometimes.
Yeah, what are some ways you help people deal with that negative self-talk when they really feel, it's definitely hard.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I think the most important thing I can say is forget about the perception. I think it's Jay Shetty who said our biggest fear is not what we think of ourselves or what other people thinks of us. It's what we think other people think of ourselves. It's like,
Right.
so stop thinking about what other people are thinking and just focus on your own personal journey and the ups and downs of that. And it's okay to be upset with yourself if you don't perform at an optimum level. That's going to happen. But I think it's not okay to constantly beat yourself up about it. Like, have that moment where, like, I think Tiger Woods said it. It's like when you have a bad shot, okay, you can be down, but not once the next shot comes, it's got to be gone. Like, you can be as mad as you want until the next shot happens. And I think that's a good way to approach these situations in life. It's like, okay, be upset in the moment if you need to be, and that's fine, but don't let it drag you down as you go forward, because it's just continuing downward spiral, right? So, go down if you need to, but then come back up, because mental focus is the biggest part of being consistent and continually empowering yourself and empowering those around you and just being the best possible version of yourself. It's only possible when you're mentally capable of doing that. And everything you do, every decision you make, it starts here. So I think that's the big advice I give to people is, stop focusing on what other people think and start focusing on how you can train your mind to be more invested into what you actually want out of life. And when you have that vision of what you want out of life, good things are going to happen because you're just going to be more drawn to it and more consistent. But you have to have that vision, and that's ultimately what we talked about, the goal and the goal setting.
It's interesting because the mental strength is such a big component, but I feel like it's not really talked, enough about. Like I hear a lot about it recently because I listen to speeches when I work out, like gym motivation. But without that, like it's hard to really get that first exposure and that first hit of building that mental muscle when it comes to because especially like if you don't have a coach, like I feel like that's where the real benefit is having an in-person trainer like yourself or an online coach, like
Yeah,
because you have the you're not alone, you have the you got your clients back, whereas if you fall into those negative habits, it can be hard, especially if you don't have that community around you to really to keep yourself on your feet.
yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. But one of the main things that people don't take advantage of is just the free information out there.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
think about, like, and something like, I always say this now, and a person told me this, and it's just like, reading is the cheat code to life. Reading. And if you don't like reading, audiobooks. Like, just listening to people that are doing, say, what you want to do, and they're gonna have some real good tips for you, and it's all out there. And it might cost you 15.95 or 26.72. Like, it's literally, why would you want to go through all the trial and error of trying to figure it out yourself when someone who's done it has probably wrote about it or made a podcast about it?
You hear that,
Like, even
guys? You hear that, guys? Check out the Deskbound Therapy guide. It's definitely a good
hey, shout
read.
out, shout out, gang. That's out there. If we gotta plug them in.
Yeah, man. Even podcasts too. Like there's so much out there. Like I even find new shows all the time that I'm interested in. There's just so much out there in terms of
Yeah,
just what people can absorb. But I think it's like a lot of times when people are scrolling, it's just through the motions instead of like be like, I'm gonna actively, look up this hashtag, shoulder muscle building, for example. And actually like use it as a search engine instead of a social media because that's really what YouTube is now. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world after Google. I believe it's owned by
right.
Google now, but anyways, like it's actually, and I feel like that's how you got to use social media if you want to get that access, that free knowledge, and actually use it for a purpose versus like just scrolling all day long but not taking any
For
action.
sure. For sure. And, you know, social media can be an amazing thing or it can be the most depressing thing on the planet, but it's up to you. You get to choose. Do you want to use it as a tool that is going to empower you and help you progress, or do you want to use it as a tool to, you know, ultimately lead to your own downfall? It's up to you. And we make those decisions every day, every account we follow, every scroll, every person that we communicate with. You know, we all, it's like just going back to this point of we ultimately control our own lives. You know, stop pointing fingers, stop looking for people to blame, and just own it. You know, own your program, own your fitness level. Are you not where you want to be in your fitness level? Whose fault is that? Like, people just can't be real with themselves, and there's this mentality of, I gotta blame this, or I deserve this, or it's like we hear it all the time, and it's a big thing people are pushing now on social media. But I think, like, if it's one thing I could say, is just be real with yourself. Who can be real with yourself if you can't be real with yourself? Who can be real with you if you can't be real with yourself? Sorry, I meant to say. It's just like, you know, own your stuff. You know, it's a tough thing to do, and I mean, we all fail at it sometimes. But when you can really start to look in the mirror and be like, this is what I need to do, this is what I've been doing wrong, man, you're on a road to a powerful place, man, because you just finally owned it and just admit it, and you don't have to be scared of people finding out or people looking at you or whatever. You just own your own stuff, and then it just takes that monkey off your back.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's really where the results happen is it's in those small, subtle, you know, things where you catch yourself, whether, having like a negative thought or you catch yourself making, the same excuse over and over again. It's that strength to actually notice when you're falling into these subconscious patterns. Cause that's really what it is, a lot of these things that, keep us on course or off course are our subconscious patterns and
Yeah,
and our habits. Be like, like if you notice, for example, like for example, you're like, oh man, I sat all day. I can't go to the gym. I'm just gonna hurt myself. And if you realize you're thinking that, you just gotta reframe this. Be like, I sat all day. I'm gonna go work on my posture, do some movement, strengthen my shoulders and my back. Like I'm gonna go do something productive. And it's those small subtle changes and those tweaks you can make that can
yeah,
really that are huge. Like that's all where the results really come from. Is those it's not the gym. It's the day to day decisions we make.
right. Those it's just consistent deposits over time adding up. So true.
So do you think it's a pretty deep question here? For example, like
Embrace myself.
people in particular, like say for example, you sign up for a coach or you buy a program with the best intentions in the world to do it, but no matter what, hauling ass you do, you just can't take action. Like is that specifically, can we correlate that to just like this, it's more like something, it's just not a priority for them, or is there more to, I know we talked about priorities earlier, but I feel like it's huge. Like people will, like for example, there's one guy in particular, he's doing good now, but when we first started, it took him like 3 months for us to, get his assessment done. He bought my online course, and for
Yeah,
everyone in there, I do a mobility assessment with them. And he's like, "Oh
yeah,
man, life's been crazy. It took me like 3 months to really find the time to send you this assessment." And you're like,
yeah.
and then we eventually he's on a good path now. But like, do you think it's just that people have trouble prioritizing or scheduling for like just like because what you want, what we talked about already, is one thing, but actually, actually seeing it through is just it's so difficult.
It is. But I feel like this is how I personally feel. If you want something, do you work for it?
Right.
If you want to get paid, do you go get a job? If you want to get
100%.
fit, do you go to a fitness program and get a gym? Like, Those are the questions that if you wanted it, you would have done it.
Let's
Like,
fucking go.
If you wanted that work, you would have came to you. You'd been like, boom, I paid my whatever. I signed up. Where the games at? Where the mobility at? Like, you want it or you don't. Ask yourself that. Because if you just think that you want it or you think that someone thinks that you should do it, then man, get that out of here. You don't really want it, then get out of here. You gotta want it. I tell that to my kids every day. I'm like, you have this facility, you come in here and you train, but do you really want it? Are you really here to get better, or are you just going through the motions? Stop going through the motions. If you want something, go get it, because life is too short, and you don't want to live with any regrets. So if you want it, go get it. And if you don't want it, you're not going to do it. It's the same concept of like this ghosting thing, people getting ghosted. If they wanted to talk to you and add value to your life and spend time with you, they would. If they don't, they'll be like, oh, I got something came up, sorry, make another plan. Oh, I got something came. They're not really about it, right? And that's why people lose out on a lot of opportunities in life, because they just don't want it.
I really love that Gary Vee quote where he's like, the richest place in the world is the graveyard. It's where the years of regret are. And I'm just like, that always hits hard. Like, you don't want to live with that regret. He's like, there's billions of dollars of, opportunity, potential just sitting there. And it's true. But anyways, I'm going to go change the name of the podcast. It's now the 100% podcast, because we're only dropping the facts and fire right now. 100%.
Man. I get fired up, bro. You got me sweating over here.
100%. Yeah, I was actually, I have some friends back in Halifax, and we were joking about creating a podcast called the 100% Podcast. So
100%.
I'm going to have to steal that.
Man, maybe even 150%. 150%.
Eventually, we went up from then the next week it was like 360%. And then I think after 2 months, my buddy's like, yo, 3,000%, bro. Let's go.
Where does it end?
It's true. Like, it's true though. Like everything you said, like, is you have to really put in the work at the end of the day. Like, yes, a coach can help you, keep you accountable to, check in with you, but you really have to be putting in that work. Like at the end of the day, like I think you had a quote about it, like, it doesn't, when we talked last year, but it doesn't work unless you do. And you just got to put in the work. Like, we can't overstate it.
Hard work works. Like, if you look at all these great people, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, sorry to be on the basketball, Wayne Gretzky, these guys, what was the difference between them? Maybe they had a certain levels of talent where they exceeded other people and, God gifted talent, but no one beat them in terms of work ethic. And when you can combine talent with work ethic, or even not so much talent with work ethic, you're going to have a positive result. So a lot of people don't have that work ethic. And, you hear those. I listened to like a lot of Kobe Bryant's, like, especially after he passed away, like all these talks that he did. And like, a big thing is he's like, I'd be in the gym, 6 a.m. or whatever, because I could train this long. And he stayed after practice, and he'd be like, I couldn't play with guys because you don't work hard enough. And everyone wondered, like, why are these people so great? It's not a mystery, man. They literally just work their tails off, and they put in the work when nobody else wanted to. So sometimes the difference between you being successful and not being successful is just doing the things that you don't want to do. You think he wanted to be there 15 hours a day? Maybe just crazy. Like, I think you got to be a little bit crazy to be that good. Like, but I mean, where other people wouldn't, he just did it. And even when he didn't want to, he would have been there. So I think that this applies to all of our lives. Like, how much work are we putting in and how much are we expecting? Because a lot of the times what we're expecting exceeds what we're putting in. When you start to match what you're putting in with what you're expecting, boom, that's when you have great things happen. But until you do that, then why are you expecting things that you're not working for? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
No, that's I'm still kind of contemplating all that truth you just dropped there. It's true. Like, it's true. I really like the analogy of balancing out your the amount of work you put in with the expectations, because it's so true. Like, do you go to the gym 6 days a week? Yeah, but you eat like crap. Like, do you do your mobility? Do you do hydration? Do you sleep? Like, yeah, you do those things, but if you're not eating well, if you're not hydrating, if you're super stressed and you're not meditating, you have to be putting in that work. That's really what it comes down to. But also that is like, just setting big enough goals. What is this Kawhi Leonard hour on the podcast over here?
Right, I'm super geeked up about the rap. I'm a big Raps fan.
Oh
You
man,
know,
2019 champs. Let's go.
you know what it is? It just happened to be that way. But
Anyway,
man,
so I was
I don't
gonna
know.
say, like, I feel like in terms of setting goals, like people I feel, one reason I find personally why people don't feel motivated is they set goals that are too small, that don't freaking motivate the shit out of them. Like, stop thinking small. Really set a goal that's gonna scare the crap out of you, and then hit the ground running. Like, stop thinking small in every aspect of your life, and shoot for the stars
I love that, man. Don't think small. Like small-minded doesn't get you big results or big goals.
or a
It
big
just gets you
bench.
or big gains,
Yeah.
right? It definitely doesn't get you 100%. It might get you 50%.
So anyways, coming off topic here, what have you been doing the last year for those boulder shoulders? I see them popping out, bro. I see
Stop, bro.
you.
Stop. It's just a white shirt. It's just a white shirt. It's just a white shirt. Don't get it twisted. I'm still the same.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, shout out to the Raptors. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of actionable advice here, and I hope people are pumped up after listening to this episode. Is there anything else you want to add to kind of wrap it up here for the Deskbound followers?
Man, the Deskbound followers, this is amazing podcast. I'm super happy to be here. If you got any terms of value, then thank you for coming on. David is always dropping that fire and always getting such amazing and motivating people to come on. And I would say, you know, if you want to set goals and there's something that you want to achieve, stop thinking about it and just start taking action. Just simple. Just start taking small, consistent actions. What's the first thing? Want to get in better shape? Well, gotta walk. I gotta go to the gym. I gotta eat better. I gotta, maybe take more walks. I gotta find ways to be more active. The smallest little things can make a big difference in the long run. Start taking action. That's all. That's all I can say to anyone that's listening. No matter what it is, no matter what sport, no matter what element of your life or what age or what size or whatever, start taking action, man, and watch what happens.
Yo, you know what we say about that? 100%. Let's go.
3,000,000%.
3,000,000% hard work. Yo, so are you currently taking on any online clients, or what are ways people can work out with you or reach out to you?
Man, definitely always hit me up on social media at TFT_fitness. Check out the Gains gear at www.tftgainsgang.com. And I mean, I'm pretty slammed in terms of clients right now, but I'll never turn down someone who wants to get better. If you really reach out and you really have some goals that you want to accomplish, I'll point you in the right direction and get you started. And like I said, ask those questions because you'd be surprised who answers. Like I'm always happy to help anyone any way I can. It's a big reason why I do, link up with my boy David and do these podcasts, and it's a big reason why motivational Mondays and all those things that we do. So let's get this work. If you want this work, let's go.
So are you saying motivational Mondays are coming back? Are you making a comeback?
Oh, I don't want to hint nothing too early.
All right.
I don't know if 200 was enough. I feel like I'm not dead, but
Yeah, man.
we'll see.
Yeah, so I'll have the link in the show notes to his website, to his merch, and to his Instagram. You can check him out and follow him. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely go and give us a 5-star review and a comment. We appreciate it so much. Number 2 on the show, man. Congrats again. We're definitely gonna have to run it back for sure soon times. So, as always, it's a pleasure, and I'll see you soon.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate you.
100%.